Jedi Knights are one of the key building blocks of Star Wars lore. They get bestowed amazing force powers that can do all sorts of things, which are sometimes made even cooler and more effective in the video games. They also get to wield lightsabers. That's just cool. But ultimately, they can feel a little overrated and quite heavily overused in a video game capacity. Thankfully, there are some Star Wars games that take risks and deviate from the traditional use of a Jedi protagonist, because working with lightsabers and getting to customize them only goes so far in entertainment value before it gets a little repetitive. Here are some Star Wars games where the Force need not be with you. Shadows of the Empire is a treat of a Star Wars game because it gives you a side you don't really get from the main canon, bringing characters and storylines from a 1996 Legends novel of the same name. Your protagonist is a rebel-aligned mercenary and smuggler named Dash Rendar, and the villain is Black Sun leader Prince Shizor. This game is set between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, except it follows the insidious plot of Prince Shizor seeking to claim Darth Vader's position with the Emperor by vowing to kill Luke Skywalker. To stop him, Dash Rendar seems to be the Rebel Alliance's only hope in this mission. If BioWare set out to make a large-scale Star Wars MMORPG and didn't let you roleplay something other than a Jedi, that would have been a massive letdown. Thankfully, the Old Republic allows for a diverse set of classes within its character creator, which range from smuggler to trooper, Imperial agent, and even bounty hunter. It's a massively multiplayer online world from the studio behind Knights of the Old Republic and Mass Effect, so you know you're in for some intricate Star Wars storytelling where you can create your own destiny. There have been plenty of exciting expansions added to the game over the years too. Star Wars Squadrons is by no means the first game to be based entirely on the dogfighting element of the series, but it is, however, the most polished, well-executed, and narrative-driven one available. It also breaks new ground for LGBTQ+ representation in Star Wars canon, with a non-binary Vanguard pilot Keo Venzi, bisexual female Grand Admiral Ray Sloan, and gay Imperial Squadron Commander Varco Gray. The game is set after the events of the Return of the Jedi, and might even be more enjoyable in VR. You'll be immersed in the first-person view of an X-Wing or TIE Fighter's cockpit, depending on which side you're pitted against during missions, and the visuals, sound, and combat will truly make you feel like you're experiencing the movies. The year is 1995, and Star Wars also wants to hop on the trend of creating something similar to early FPS games like Doom, System Shock, and Wolfenstein 3D. The end result is Star Wars Dark Forces, which has now received an official 2024 remaster and remains an overall solid FPS entry in the roster of Star Wars games. With a similar narrative setup for Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, the game has you take on the role of Kyle Katarn, a former Imperial officer turned freelance mercenary who joins the Rebel Alliance. Katarn's mission is to put an end to the Empire's Dark Trooper project, supervised by General Rom, one of the most compelling villains the Star Wars games have to offer. While Kyle Katarn does eventually become a Jedi, that comes far later in the Jedi Knight series of games. Why be a Jedi when you can play as the legendary Jango Fett in Star Wars Bounty Hunter? This game is also your chance to learn more about Jango Fett's backstory prior to the events of Attack of the Clones, and to spend a little more time with him in general than you had in the movies. Let's face it, he's a pretty cool bounty hunter who deserved a much better story arc. In this game, Jango has to infiltrate the criminal underworld of the Bando Gora Syndicate to capture its head, Komari Vosa, who also happens to be the former Jedi Padawan of Count Dooku who fell to the dark side. You also get to see how Jango met fellow bounty hunter Zam Wessel and claimed his ship. Though this is an older game that launched the same year as Episode 2, it got ported to the PS4, so you'll still be able to play it. If you're looking for the best first-person shooter story with no Jedis in its lead cast in a Star Wars game, Republic Commando is your best hope. What makes this game great is that you're an original clone trooper in charge of a team of commandos known as Delta Squad, and the gameplay is largely reliant on you giving your squad members orders they can carry out. It's quite a bit like the squad-based combat of Mass Effect or Spec Ops: The Line or even Ghost Recon Wildlands, but in a Star Wars context. Delta Squad is sent on a variety of missions, and you get to experience more of the world from the point of view of a clone trooper in the events between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. When it comes to non-Jedi games, the Star Wars Battlefront series is always a great bet, not only because of the variety of games that exist now, but also because of the variety of characters and battlefields you get to experience throughout each installment. The original series launched in 2004 are incredible, and even the modern reboots are a good time. There's still the option to play as a Jedi or a Sith if you unlock the heroes or villains, but there's a wide range of options here, including battle droids and notable non-Jedi characters from the movies and shows. 2017's Battlefront 2 was also notable for delivering a campaign where you play as Iden Versio, a new female TIE Fighter pilot for the Empire who defects to the Rebel Alliance and is put in command of a new squadron there called Inferno Squad. So that's our list. Make sure you head over to thegamer.com for more lists like these.